Welcome, everybody. This is our first project of our lost wax casting unit. We typically do two projects with this one. Students are usually excited about it because this is your chance to kind of get into the metals part of the project or of the class. I sometimes call this the battle of the bands because your goal is just to try to make the most perfect band, plain band that you can possibly make, and just so you can kind of do the best in the class. Um, but the overall process of this is that you'll get a small block of blue wax, and within that you're going to be drilling out a hole that fits the size that you want to kind of make, and we'll go over that later. Um, Shape it. You'll be sanding it down. You'll use some steel wool at the very end, and then you'll be casting it in a it's called a flask of plaster. We melt all the wax out of it. We use something called a centrifugal casting machine, and then that shoots the metal in there. It comes out. We throw it in water. It the the ring breaks out of the mold because it's so hot, and then you get something that typically doesn't look very good, right at first. But then we go over how to cut off the sprue, how to use a file, how to start sandpapering it down, and then finally how to actually polish it. And that's when you um, get your reward, for doing a good job because then it starts coming off really nice. So let me just kind of go over a couple things here. In class, you will be kind of learning a little bit of like why does your finger turn green when you have a certain kind of metals that touch it. So you'll watch a short video on that. And then over here it says ring types and meanings. What that talks about is that some people really have special reasons why they wear rings and why they wear them on certain fingers. And this can be a very cultural thing. It could have absolutely no meaning to you, but to somebody else, it might have a very significant meaning. Um, so the question is like, what do rings do? I'm sorry, what do rings mean to you, or to others around you? And come up with five things. Whether it's a wedding band, in our culture that we wear on our right hand, on our ring finger, or if you wear, a pinky ring, yeah, or like even what kind, like why that specific ring, was it given to you? Was it an heirloom? And stuff like that. So write down five meanings that you know of, or or people around you. You should be able to come up with two or three. If you can't come up with five, that's fine. But you should be able to come up with a few at least. So on down below. Even getting into your left hand and your right hand, or the phalanges, because there's certain people that believe, again, kind of cultural stuff, that whether you wear a ring, up high or low or in the middle, those are your phalanges. Or sometimes the left hand is more feminine and the right hand is more masculine. It depends on where you ring your I can talk, where you wear your ring, and go from there. And if you don't believe any of that stuff or anything, that's perfectly fine. I just want to let you know there are people that do, and we just try to be cognizant, of those things. Down below, what is the metal made of? We cast in three different metals. We cast in nickel, silver, brass, and copper. At a year 2 or 3 student, the goal is to start casting in in sterling silver, because it is such a higher quality metal. But it also gets kind of pricey. We're never going to cast in gold because that is really expensive. But sterling silver is something that is a possibility that we could get into. So we're working up there. But nickel silver is still your silver color, but it's an alloy, so it's made of different metals. So on the chart there, you can see that 18% of it's made of nickel, 62% is made of copper, so still a fair chunk of it's made of copper, and 20% of it's made of zinc. Brass, that's your gold. There are over 60 types of brass. So there's like new gold, which is a brass. There's rose. There's another one. I mean, they really get into that because it really depends on what kind of metals you use. Like you have that 80 to 85% copper and that 15% zinc, is one of them. But if you went down to 80% copper and 20% zinc, you would have a slightly different tone with that. So that's why brass can have so many different kinds. And copper, if you want a ring just made out of copper, it tarnishes pretty quickly. And that's one of the things that does kind of make your skin kind of green. Um, that's completely up to you if you want to have a copper ring. So you just have to let me know which of these metals you want to cast in. But you also need to have a partner in class that wants you to have the same metal. So it's not like you have to get along with a person or you're making the ring with them. It's just that Johnny over there wants to have a copper ring. I want to have a copper ring. It's like let's cast our rings together. So you just have to find somebody that has the same metal type that you want. Okay. Drawing, I'll have a demonstration on how to draw out your ring. It'll be really simple on this one. Your second project, which is called your complex ring, that's where your drawing gets much more complicated. But I want to have a real basic understanding of how to draw something, from the top, which is your main design, and from the side, which is you're going to see part of your top, but they're going to be the exact same thing on this one. Okay. Basic instructions, you can kind of read that. It just kind of goes over some of the process with casting and some other things. Um, scroll down. Okay, so where you're graded on, again, on here, 20% of your grade is just the packet itself. Again, kind of focusing on those meanings is a significant part of this. Down below, 30% is your band, the thickness, the top, the side are all very well crafted. 5 points or 10% is that you have to have a good beveled edge on your ring. So your ring doesn't just have this square end on it, but it'll curve down a little bit. It'll bevel it down a little bit, and it works well. And then buffed to a mirror finish with no scratches. That's hard. You can do it, but it does take some patience and a little bit of patience. To do it. But you're focused, on the ring itself. Not that you're trying to play a game or texting at the same time or talking a lot, but you're really paying attention to trying to get all those scratches out. Which I can show you how to do that, but it's just a matter of that you actually do it. Okay. And then obviously, Arts only again is 10% of your grade. So other than that, good luck on the project. Remember, it's your first one. And you'll have another one where you get to be more fancy, but we're just learning the basics on this one. So good luck on the project. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.